I sat in my car outside Meridian Tech Solutions, hands gripping the steering wheel as the afternoon sun glared through my windshield. 20 minutes ago, I watched my boss Richard announce that his 25-year-old daughter Emma would become our new marketing director, the position I had been promised for 2 years, the role I had earned through 9 years of blood, sweat, and sleepless nights. Emma smiled nervously during the announcement, and I knew exactly why. She had 0 marketing experience, 0 understanding of our industry, and 0 qualifications beyond sharing Richard's DNA. I sat in that conference room with a smile plastered on my face while my world crumbled. 9 years ago, I walked into Meridian Tech Solutions as a nervous 23-year-old college graduate, clutching my communications degree and hoping someone would give me a chance. Richard hired me as his executive assistant, and back then he seemed like a mentor who genuinely cared about developing young talent. I organized his calendar, answered his phones, and gradually started noticing gaps in our marketing approach. When our marketing director left 6 months after I started, Richard asked if I could handle some basic social media posting until they found a replacement. I jumped at the opportunity. Our company Facebook page had barely 200 followers, and our Instagram account posted generic stock photos with corporate jargon that made paint drying seem exciting. I saw potential everywhere. I spent my evenings learning about digital marketing, studying analytics, researching our target demographic. Within 3 months, our social media following grew to 2,000 engaged followers. I created content that actually spoke to our customers instead of corporate executives. I shared behind-the-scenes glimpses of our development process, highlighted customer success stories, and built genuine connections with people who used our software solutions. Richard noticed the results and officially transferred marketing responsibilities to me, though my title remained executive assistant for another year. I didn't mind. I was learning, growing, and making a real difference. By my second anniversary, our social media presence had exploded to 15,000 followers across all platforms, and we were generating actual leads through digital channels for the first time in company history. The breakthrough came during my 3rd year when I proposed our customer loyalty program. I had analyzed our client retention data and discovered we were losing 20% of customers after their first year simply because they felt disconnected from our brand. I spent weeks developing a comprehensive strategy that included personalized check-ins, exclusive educational webinars, early access to new features, and a points-based reward system. Richard initially seemed skeptical about the budget required, but I presented detailed projections showing how improving retention by even 10% would generate hundreds of thousands in additional revenue. He approved the program, and the results exceeded every expectation. Customer retention increased by 40% within 6 months, and our client satisfaction scores reached all-time highs. During my 5th year, Richard finally promoted me to Marketing Operations Manager with a modest salary increase. I was thrilled to have an official title that reflected my actual responsibilities. Our social media following had grown to 30,000. Our email marketing campaigns consistently achieved open rates above industry averages, and I had established partnerships with 3 major industry publications for content collaboration. The ultimate test came during my 7th year, when Richard assigned me to lead marketing for our biggest product launch ever. Our development team had created a revolutionary project management tool that could potentially transform how small businesses organize their operations. The success of this launch would determine whether Meridian remained a small regional player or broke into national markets. I threw myself into the project with everything I had. I conducted extensive market research, identified our ideal customer personas, developed comprehensive messaging strategies, created promotional materials that actually explained our product's benefits in plain English, and coordinated launch events in 5 major cities. I worked 18-hour days for 3 months straight, managing every detail from social media teasers to partnership negotiations. The launch exceeded every projection. We generated $2 million in first-quarter sales, landed contracts with 12 enterprise clients, and received coverage in major business publications. Industry analysts praised our marketing approach as innovative and customer-focused. Richard was ecstatic, and I felt proud knowing my hard work had directly contributed to the company's success. Throughout all these achievements, Richard consistently promised that my future at Meridian was bright. During performance reviews, he would mention executive leadership opportunities, hint about director-level positions opening up, and assure me that my dedication wouldn't go unrecognized. I trusted him completely. That trust made discovering the truth about my loyalty program even more devastating. During a routine meeting with Sarah from Human Resources about employee benefit updates, she accidentally revealed something that shattered my perception of Richard's integrity. She mentioned how impressed the board had been with Richard's innovative customer retention strategy, praising his visionary leadership in developing our loyalty program. My heart stopped. Richard had been presenting my loyalty program as his own creation in board meetings, taking full credit for the concept development and implementation. According to Sarah, Richard had positioned himself as the strategic mastermind who recognized the retention opportunity and designed the entire program himself. The board apparently saw this as evidence of Richard's evolving leadership capabilities and business acumen. Marcus from our IT department later confirmed my worst fears. He had attended several board presentations where Richard discussed the loyalty program's success, never once mentioning my involvement. Marcus assumed Richard was just summarizing team efforts, but now we both realized Richard was deliberately claiming personal credit for my work. This betrayal cut deeper than any salary disappointment or delayed promotion. For years, I had trusted Richard with my career development, believing that hard work and loyalty would be rewarded fairly. Instead, he had been building his own reputation on my achievements while keeping me in a supporting role. The foundation of trust I had built my entire career on was crumbling beneath me. Emma's first day as marketing director arrived like a tornado, warning everyone could see coming, but nobody could prevent. I watched her stumble through the office in designer heels that clicked against our tile floors like a metronome counting down to disaster. Her nervous energy filled every room she entered, and her bright smile couldn't hide the panic behind her eyes. Richard introduced Emma to the marketing team with the kind of forced enthusiasm typically reserved for announcing budget cuts or mandatory overtime. He explained that Emma brought fresh perspectives and innovative thinking to our department, though he struggled to identify any specific qualifications beyond her recent graduation with a general business degree and summer internship at a friend's startup that had folded within 6 months. Within hours of Emma's arrival, her inexperience became impossible to ignore. During her first team meeting, Emma asked what ROI meant, confusing return on investment with some kind of advanced marketing software she assumed we should be using. When I explained our current analytics tracking, she suggested we start advertising on something called Facegram, apparently believing Facebook and Instagram had merged into a single platform. The real shock came when Emma reviewed our brand guidelines and declared our color scheme too boring. She proposed changing everything to hot pink and lime green because those colors were more fun and would attract younger customers. When I gently explained that our target demographic consisted of business professionals seeking reliable software solutions, Emma insisted that everyone secretly preferred bright colors but were afraid to admit it. Richard assigned me to train Emma, essentially requiring me to do both my regular job and teach his daughter how to perform basic marketing functions. I spent my mornings walking Emma through fundamental concepts like target demographics and conversion funnels, then worked late into the evening completing the actual work that couldn't wait for her learning curve. Emma's approach to client relationships proved particularly concerning. During her first client call with David Chen, our contact at Pacific Northwest Logistics, Emma interrupted his budget discussion to suggest they rebrand their professional transportation company with cartoon mascots and social media contests featuring dancing truck drivers. David's confused silence spoke volumes, and I spent an hour after the call reassuring him that our marketing strategy remained focused on professional business solutions. Our receptionist, Linda, began providing me with daily updates about Emma's phone conversations with potential clients. Emma apparently believed that every business wanted to target millennials through viral TikTok campaigns, regardless of whether they sold accounting software to law firms or inventory management systems to medical practices. Her enthusiasm was genuine, but her suggestions ranged from irrelevant to potentially damaging for our professional reputation. The breaking point came during Emma's second week when she decided to revamp our email marketing campaigns. Without consulting anyone, Emma created a newsletter featuring rainbow backgrounds, Comic Sans font, and subject lines like, "Hey girl, ready to revolutionize your business." She scheduled this masterpiece to be sent to our entire client database, including conservative financial institutions and government contractors who expected professional communication. I caught the email minutes before it was scheduled to launch and managed to cancel the campaign, but not before Emma had forwarded a preview to several board members seeking approval for her innovative approach. The forwarded emails included a chain where Richard admitted to board member Jennifer Walsh that while Emma was still learning the basics, Joe handles all the technical marketing work and client relationship management. Richard's exact words were burned into my memory. Emma brings the family leadership qualities we need for department growth, but obviously Joe manages the day-to-day operations since she understands all the systems and client preferences. Emma's role is more strategic oversight, while Joe continues handling implementation and execution. The casual way Richard dismissed my expertise while positioning Emma as my supervisor, despite her complete lack of qualifications, felt like a slap across the face. He was acknowledging that I did all the actual work while giving his daughter credit for strategic vision she didn't possess. Even worse, he seemed to believe this arrangement was perfectly reasonable and sustainable. Emma's mistakes multiplied daily. She suggested we sponsor a local music festival to promote our business software, recommended collaborating with lifestyle influencers who had never heard of our industry, and proposed a company mascot that would appear in animated videos explaining complex technical concepts through interpretive dance. Each ridiculous suggestion required careful diplomatic correction, and I found myself spending more time managing Emma's misguided initiatives than developing actual marketing strategies. Meanwhile, Richard praised Emma's creativity and fresh thinking, apparently interpreting her inexperience as innovation rather than incompetence. The most frustrating aspect wasn't Emma's lack of knowledge, which could potentially be addressed through training and mentorship. The real problem was Richard's unwillingness to acknowledge the reality of the situation. He wanted to position his daughter as a marketing director without requiring her to develop actual marketing skills or understanding. He expected me to do the work while Emma received the recognition, and he genuinely seemed to believe this arrangement benefited everyone involved. The quarterly review meeting felt like walking into my own execution. I sat at the polished conference table surrounded by board members and potential investors, watching Richard prepare to present our department's achievements from the past 3 months. Emma sat beside him nervously, shuffling through notes she clearly hadn't written while I waited for the inevitable humiliation. Richard began with our lead generation results, proudly announcing a 30% increase in qualified prospects compared to the previous quarter. He credited Emma's innovative social media strategy and her fresh approach to content creation. I had personally developed every post, managed every campaign, and analyzed every metric that contributed to those results. Emma had suggested we add more emojis to our LinkedIn posts. Next, Richard discussed our mobile app marketing campaign, which had successfully launched our new project management tool to small business owners across the Pacific Northwest. He praised Emma's understanding of mobile user behavior and her strategic vision for reaching younger entrepreneurs. The entire campaign had been my concept from initial market research through final execution. Emma's only contribution was suggesting we include a selfie feature in our business software, which our development team politely declined to implement. The presentation continued with Richard highlighting our biggest achievement, landing Cascade Manufacturing as a corporate client worth $400,000 annually. He described Emma's relationship-building skills and her ability to understand enterprise-level needs. I had spent 6 weeks cultivating that relationship, attending networking events, developing customized proposals, and personally meeting with their executives to address technical concerns. Emma had attended one lunch meeting where she asked if Cascade Manufacturing made actual waterfalls. Jennifer Walsh, our board chair, asked detailed questions about customer acquisition costs and conversion optimization strategies. Emma's deer-in-headlights expression made it clear she had no idea how to respond to technical inquiries about marketing metrics. Richard smoothly redirected every question, providing answers based on reports I had written and strategies I had developed. Thomas Rodriguez, a potential investor, wanted to understand our content marketing approach and how we measured engagement across different platforms. Emma mumbled something about posting regularly and making sure everything looked professional. When Thomas pressed for specific metrics, Richard again stepped in with detailed analytics that came directly from my monthly reports. The final humiliation came when Richard presented our crisis management success story. 3 weeks earlier, a disgruntled former client had posted negative reviews across multiple platforms, claiming our software had caused data loss that cost their company thousands in recovery expenses. I had immediately launched a comprehensive response strategy, personally calling the client to investigate their concerns, coordinating with our technical team to resolve legitimate issues, and crafting public responses that acknowledged problems while demonstrating our commitment to customer satisfaction. The situation could have seriously damaged our reputation, but my quick response and genuine problem-solving approach turned a potential disaster into a demonstration of superior customer service. The original complainer eventually posted updated reviews praising our responsiveness, and other clients commented about their positive experiences with our support team. Richard presented this entire episode as evidence of Emma's natural crisis management abilities and her intuitive understanding of customer psychology. He described how Emma had remained calm under pressure and developed a strategic response that protected our brand while maintaining client relationships. Emma nodded along, as if she had been personally involved in any aspect of the situation. Sitting through that presentation felt like watching someone else receive awards for my life's work. Every achievement Richard attributed to Emma represented months of effort, late nights, and genuine care for our company's success. I had built those client relationships through years of consistent service. I had developed the expertise that generated those results through continuous learning and adaptation. As Richard concluded his presentation with praise for Emma's leadership potential and innovative thinking, my phone buzzed with a text message that would change everything. The message was from Patricia Williams, CEO of Apex Marketing Group, Meridian's biggest competitor in the Pacific Northwest market. Joe, we've been following your work at Meridian for several months. Your reputation in the industry speaks for itself. We'd like to discuss a marketing director position with significantly better compensation and the recognition you deserve. Would you be interested in a confidential conversation about opportunities with our team? The text included a salary range that was 40% higher than my current compensation plus equity options and a budget to build my own marketing department. Apex Marketing Group was known for aggressive growth strategies and poaching top talent from competitors. They had apparently been watching my contributions to Meridian's success and decided I was worth pursuing. I stared at my phone in disbelief. While Richard was crediting his unqualified daughter with my professional achievements, our primary competitor was recognizing my actual value and offering the advancement opportunities Meridian had been promising for years. The irony was overwhelming. Richard was so focused on positioning Emma for success that he was completely oblivious to the possibility that his most valuable employee might have other options. He seemed to take my loyalty for granted, assuming I would indefinitely accept being overshadowed by his daughter while doing all the actual work required to keep our department functioning. Jennifer Walsh asked one final question about our long-term strategic vision for the marketing department. Richard smiled confidently and invited Emma to share her thoughts about future direction and growth opportunities. Emma's response was a rambling collection of buzzwords about synergy disruption and authentic engagement that meant absolutely nothing in practical terms. As the meeting concluded with handshakes and compliments about our department's promising future under Emma's leadership, I realized that Richard's betrayal wasn't just about taking credit for my work. He was systematically erasing my contributions while building a narrative where his daughter was the driving force behind our success. That narrative was about to collapse, and Richard had no idea what was coming. I spent the entire weekend in my apartment methodically planning my exit strategy with the precision of a military operation. Saturday morning, I spread every document related to my employment across my kitchen table: performance reviews, project portfolios, client testimonials, email threads documenting my contributions and financial records showing the direct revenue impact of my marketing campaigns. The evidence of my value was overwhelming. Over 9 years, I had personally managed marketing efforts that generated more than $12 million in client acquisitions and contract renewals. My customer retention strategies had saved the company approximately $2 million in potential lost revenue. I had built relationships with 43 major clients who specifically requested to work with me rather than other account managers. Most importantly, I was the only person at Meridian who truly understood our proprietary marketing automation system. I had customized the software configuration, developed unique workflow processes, and created integration methods that connected our customer relationship management database with social media analytics, email marketing platforms, and financial reporting systems. Training someone else to replicate my system expertise would require months of intensive work. I carefully compiled reference letters from clients who had specifically praised my strategic thinking and problem-solving abilities. David Chen from Pacific Northwest Logistics had written a detailed endorsement describing how my marketing approach had increased their customer inquiries by 60%. Margaret Foster from Coastal Medical Systems credited my campaign strategies with expanding their patient base across 3 counties. Sunday morning, I reached out to Patricia Williams at Apex Marketing Group. Our phone conversation exceeded my highest expectations. Patricia explained that Apex had been monitoring Meridian's marketing success for over a year, and industry contacts had consistently identified me as the strategic force behind their improved performance. "Frankly, Joe, we've been waiting for the right opportunity to approach you," Patricia said. "Your reputation precedes you in professional circles. Clients specifically mention working with you when they recommend Meridian services. We know talent when we see it." Patricia outlined Apex's offer in detail. The marketing director position included a base salary $65,000 higher than my current compensation, performance bonuses tied to department growth stock options vesting over 4 years, and complete autonomy to build a marketing team according to my vision. They wanted me to bring my innovative approaches to customer retention and digital engagement to their rapidly expanding client base. "We're not just offering you a job, Joe. We're offering you the opportunity to build something significant. You'll have the resources, authority, and recognition that your expertise deserves," Patricia explained. The conversation confirmed what I had suspected: my professional reputation extended far beyond Meridian's walls. While Richard was treating me like a supporting player in his daughter's career development industry, leaders recognized me as a marketing professional with valuable strategic insights and proven results. Monday morning brought unexpected validation for my departure plans. Michael Torres from our sales department knocked on my office door with a confidential revelation that changed my entire perspective on Meridian's internal dynamics. "Joe, I wanted you to hear this directly from me before rumors start spreading," Michael said quietly, closing the door behind him. "I submitted my resignation letter this morning. I accepted a position with Northwest Business Solutions as their senior sales director." Michael explained that Richard's nepotistic management style had created a toxic environment where family connections mattered more than professional competence. Emma's appointment as marketing director had convinced several experienced employees that advancement at Meridian would always depend on personal relationships rather than merit. "You've been carrying this company's marketing success for years, and everybody knows it except Richard," Michael continued. "Watching him give Emma credit for your work last week was the final straw for me. I can't work for someone who doesn't recognize or respect genuine talent." Michael's resignation was part of a larger exodus that Richard hadn't anticipated. Amanda Foster from Client Relations had been interviewing with competitors, and Brian Kumar from our technical support team was considering offers from 3 different companies. Richard's decision to prioritize Emma's career development over employee retention was creating exactly the kind of brain drain that destroys successful businesses. Amanda stopped by my office Tuesday afternoon to share her own perspectives about the changing culture at Meridian. She had been fielding calls from clients who specifically requested to work with me for their upcoming projects. Several long-term clients had expressed concern about Emma's involvement in their account management, preferring to maintain relationships with team members who understood their business needs and communication styles. "Honestly, Joe, half our client base would follow you wherever you went," Amanda said. "They trust your judgment and appreciate how you actually listen to their concerns, instead of trying to sell them things they don't need." Amanda's observation highlighted the most dangerous aspect of Richard's strategy. By promoting Emma without ensuring she had necessary skills or client confidence, he was risking the relationships that generated Meridian's revenue. Clients wanted to work with marketing professionals who understood their industries and could deliver measurable results, not inexperienced executives who happened to be related to company leadership. Tuesday evening, I received another call from Patricia Williams with an update that made my decision inevitable. Apex Marketing Group had been contacted by 3 former Meridian clients who were interested in switching their accounts specifically to work with me if I joined their team. This level of client loyalty is extremely rare in our industry, Joe, Patricia explained. These aren't just satisfied customers. They're advocates who believe in your professional abilities enough to change service providers just to continue working with you. That's the kind of reputation we want representing Apex. The clients included Cascade Manufacturing, the $400,000 account Richard had credited to Emma's relationship-building skills. Their procurement director had apparently been asking when I would be managing their marketing strategy directly, rather than working through intermediaries. They valued my understanding of their technical requirements and preferred my straightforward communication style. By Wednesday, my transition plan was complete. I had documented every process, procedure, and client preference that would be necessary for maintaining continuity after my departure. I created detailed instructions for managing our marketing automation system, complete with troubleshooting guides and vendor contact information. I prepared client relationship summaries highlighting each account's specific needs, preferences, and ongoing project requirements. Most importantly, I had secured all my personal work files, client contacts, and professional correspondence on my personal laptop. 9 years of relationship-building strategic development and industry knowledge would be leaving Meridian along with me. Richard had spent so much time positioning Emma for success that he had forgotten to secure the foundation supporting that success. Without my institutional knowledge, client relationships, and system expertise, Emma would be trying to manage a marketing department she didn't understand for clients who specifically wanted to work with someone else. Thursday morning, I scheduled the team meeting that would change everything at Meridian Tech Solutions forever. Thursday morning arrived with the crisp clarity that comes just before life-changing moments. I woke up 30 minutes earlier than usual, chose my most professional navy blazer, and drove to the office with supernatural calm settling over me like armor. Today would be the day Richard finally understood the true cost of taking loyalty for granted. Our weekly marketing team meeting was scheduled for 10 o'clock in the main conference room. Emma had been preparing for her first major presentation about restructuring our content calendar to include more lifestyle-focused messaging. She had spent the previous afternoon practicing her PowerPoint slides with Richard, who kept encouraging her to trust her instincts and remember that fresh perspectives often challenge conventional thinking. I arrived at the conference room 5 minutes early, carrying a manila folder containing my resignation letter, transition documentation, and a comprehensive summary of ongoing client projects that only I fully understood. The folder represented 9 years of institutional knowledge that was about to walk out the door forever. Emma entered the room beaming with nervous confidence, clutching her laptop and a stack of printed slides showcasing her vision for transforming Meridian's marketing approach. Her presentation outlined plans to pivot our messaging toward younger demographics, incorporate more emotional storytelling into our technical content, and establish partnerships with lifestyle influencers who could make business software seem exciting and accessible. Richard followed Emma into the room practically glowing with paternal pride. He had apparently convinced himself that his daughter possessed some kind of intuitive marketing genius that traditional education couldn't provide. He kept reminding everyone that sometimes the most innovative ideas came from unexpected sources, and that Emma's outsider perspective might reveal opportunities that industry veterans had overlooked. The rest of our team filed in gradually. Michael Torres, who would be submitting his own resignation later that afternoon. Amanda Foster, who was secretly interviewing with competitors Brian Kumar, who was questioning whether Meridian valued technical expertise, and 3 junior marketing associates who were beginning to understand that advancement at our company might depend more on family connections than professional development. Emma launched into her presentation with enthusiasm that would have been admirable in almost any other context. She explained how our current approach was too focused on practical benefits and technical specifications. Modern customers wanted emotional connections and aspirational messaging that made them feel inspired about their business potential. She proposed rebranding our project management software as a lifestyle choice that would transform entrepreneurs into visionary leaders. The presentation included sample social media posts featuring motivational quotes overlaid on sunrise photographs, email templates that began with personal anecdotes about overcoming challenges and advertising concepts that positioned our software as the key to work-life balance and creative fulfillment. Emma had clearly invested significant time developing these ideas, and her passion was genuine, even if her understanding was fundamentally flawed. Richard nodded approvingly throughout Emma's presentation, occasionally adding supportive comments about thinking outside traditional marketing boxes and embracing innovative approaches that competitors wouldn't anticipate. He seemed completely oblivious to the fact that our actual clients were risk-averse business professionals who needed reliable software solutions, not lifestyle inspiration. When Emma concluded her presentation and asked for team feedback, the conference room fell silent. Everyone understood that criticizing the boss's daughter required diplomatic skills that could easily backfire regardless of how constructive the intent. Michael stared at his hands, Amanda focused intently on her notepad, and Brian cleared his throat without saying anything meaningful. I stood up slowly, placing my hands flat on the conference table and looking directly at Richard with the kind of steady eye contact that precedes important announcements. Thank you for that creative presentation, Emma. I can see you put a lot of thought into those ideas. I began, my voice carrying the professional warmth that had served me well in client meetings for 9 years. Richard, I wanted to take this opportunity to address the entire team about something important. Richard smiled expectantly, probably assuming I was about to offer mentorship suggestions for his daughter or propose collaborative approaches that would blend Emma's creativity with my experience. His expression reflected complete confidence that whatever I was about to say would support his vision for the department's future. I've spent 9 wonderful years learning and growing at Meridian Tech Solutions. This company gave me my first real opportunity to develop marketing expertise, and I'm genuinely grateful for every challenge and success we've shared together. I continued maintaining the same calm tone that had carried me through countless client presentations. The words felt surreal as they left my mouth, like watching someone else deliver a speech I had rehearsed dozens of times in my head. Everyone in the room was paying attention now, sensing that something significant was happening, even if they couldn't predict exactly what. However, I've decided it's time for me to explore new opportunities that align more closely with my professional goals and career aspirations. I'm submitting my resignation effective immediately. I reached into my manila folder and pulled out the resignation letter I had crafted over multiple drafts, ensuring every word struck the perfect balance between professional courtesy and unmistakable finality. I walked around the conference table and handed the letter directly to Richard, whose expression was transforming from confusion to shock to something approaching panic. This transition document outlines every ongoing project, client relationship, and system process that will need attention during the coming weeks. I continued, placing a thick folder on the table in front of Emma. I've included detailed instructions for managing our marketing automation platform, maintaining client communication schedules, and accessing vendor relationships that support our current campaigns. The silence in the room was deafening. Emma stared at the folder like it contained nuclear launch codes, while Richard scanned my resignation letter with the kind of desperate intensity usually reserved for medical test results. Michael Torres was trying unsuccessfully to hide a slight smile, and Amanda Foster was taking notes, like she was documenting a historic moment. I want to emphasize that this decision reflects my personal career development needs and has nothing to do with any dissatisfaction with Meridian's direction or leadership. I said, delivering the diplomatic language that would protect me from potential bridge burning while making it clear that my departure was final and non-negotiable. Richard finally found his voice, though it came out higher pitched than usual. Joe, this is completely unexpected. Can we discuss whatever concerns you might have? I'm sure we can address any issues and find a solution that works for everyone. I had anticipated this response and prepared for it accordingly. I appreciate that offer, Richard, but my decision is final. I've accepted a position that provides the growth opportunities I'm seeking at this stage of my career. The revelation that I already had another job lined up clearly caught Richard off guard. He had apparently assumed that my loyalty to Meridian was absolute, and that any dissatisfaction could be resolved through internal negotiations. The possibility that I might have been actively pursuing external opportunities had never occurred to him. If this is about salary or title adjustments, we can certainly explore options for better compensation and expanded responsibilities. Richard continued, his voice taking on a pleading quality that made everyone in the room uncomfortable. Thank you, but that won't be necessary. My personal laptop contains client contact information system passwords and relationship details that you'll need for continuity. I'll be happy to provide that information to whoever will be managing these accounts going forward. The mention of my laptop and the institutional knowledge it contained finally seemed to penetrate Richard's shock. I watched his face as he began calculating what my departure would actually mean for Meridian's daily operations. Emma possessed neither the skills nor the relationships necessary to maintain client satisfaction. Michael Torres was planning his own exit. Amanda Foster was already interviewing elsewhere. I picked up my personal items from the conference table and headed toward the door, pausing only to address the junior team members who were watching this drama unfold with obvious fascination. I wish everyone the very best, and I hope you'll all continue building your marketing skills and pursuing opportunities that recognize your talents. As I walked toward my desk to collect my personal belongings, I could hear urgent whispers beginning behind me. Richard was asking Emma if she understood how to access our client management systems. Emma was admitting that she hadn't realized how much technical work was involved in managing client relationships. Michael Torres was quietly mentioning that he had some important news to share with the team as well. The dominoes were beginning to fall, and Richard was just starting to understand that his daughter's promotion had triggered consequences he never anticipated. Within hours, he would realize that promoting family over merit had cost him not just one valuable employee, but the foundation of institutional knowledge that kept his marketing department functioning effectively. I spent the next hour clearing out my desk while colleagues stopped by to express support and ask quietly about opportunities at my new company. Security guard Frank Martinez helped me carry boxes to my car, whispering that he hoped I would find the recognition I deserved somewhere that appreciated real talent. As I drove away from Meridian Tech Solutions for the last time, my phone was already buzzing with text messages from Patricia Williams at Apex Marketing Group, confirming my start date and expressing excitement about the innovative strategies we would develop together. Richard's voice had been shaking when he asked me to reconsider, but my decision was final. After 9 years of carrying his company's marketing success, I was finally ready to build something of my own. My first week at Apex Marketing Group felt like stepping into an alternate universe where marketing professionals were actually valued for their expertise rather than their family connections. Patricia Williams had arranged for me to have a corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows, a dedicated budget for professional development, and immediate authority to hire 2 additional team members to support our expanding client base. Meanwhile, Meridian Tech Solutions was experiencing what industry analysts would later describe as a perfect storm of operational dysfunction. Emma's first solo marketing campaign launched on Tuesday, 3 days after my departure, with results that exceeded everyone's worst expectations for all the wrong reasons. The campaign targeted Meridian's most conservative client segment with email messaging that began with casual greetings like, "Hey there, business warrior," and featured animated graphics of cartoon characters celebrating productivity victories. The subject line, "Time to disrupt your workflow and embrace the chaos," was particularly poorly received by accounting firms and legal practices that prize stability and predictable processes above innovation and creative disruption. Pacific Northwest Logistics. The $400,000 account Richard had attributed to Emma's relationship-building skills responded to the email campaign by requesting an immediate meeting to discuss concerns about Meridian's new marketing direction. David Chen sent a formal message expressing confusion about whether Meridian was still focused on providing professional business solutions or had transitioned into some kind of lifestyle coaching service. Richard found himself scrambling to explain that the campaign represented experimental messaging rather than a fundamental shift in company positioning. However, his assurances were undermined by Emma's enthusiastic follow-up calls, where she continued promoting the idea that business software should be fun-inspiring and emotionally engaging rather than merely functional and reliable. By Wednesday, 3 additional clients had contacted Meridian's customer service department asking to speak with me specifically about upcoming project requirements. When informed that I was no longer with the company, 2 clients requested detailed information about my new employment location, and 1 client explicitly asked whether their contract could be transferred to wherever I was currently working. Amanda Foster, who had been managing client relations while secretly interviewing with competitors, confirmed what I had suspected about the depth of client loyalty I had built over 9 years. Multiple long-term customers had specifically requested to continue working with me, rather than transitioning to other Meridian team members, and several had expressed concerns about Emma's qualifications to manage their strategic marketing needs. The technical crisis began Thursday morning when Emma attempted to modify our marketing automation system configuration without understanding the complex integration processes I had developed over several years. Her efforts to simplify the workflow for easier management resulted in a cascade of system errors that disrupted email delivery, corrupted customer segmentation data, and eliminated tracking capabilities for ongoing campaigns. Brian Kumar from technical support spent 14 hours attempting to restore system functionality, eventually determining that the configuration changes had created conflicts requiring complete database reconstruction. The process would take at least 2 weeks and might result in permanent loss of historical analytics data that supported strategic planning and performance measurement. Richard was forced to acknowledge publicly that I had been the only team member with comprehensive knowledge of our marketing technology infrastructure. Without my expertise, even routine system maintenance had become problematic, and any significant modifications risked additional operational disruptions that could affect client service quality. Friday brought the revelation that sent Meridian's board of directors into emergency session mode. Pacific Northwest Logistics formally announced their decision to terminate their contract with Meridian and transfer their marketing services to Apex Marketing Group, specifically citing their desire to continue working with me on strategic initiatives they had been developing. Cascade Manufacturing followed with a similar announcement, explaining that their procurement committee had voted to consolidate marketing services with a provider that demonstrated deeper understanding of their technical requirements and communication preferences. Both companies had been impressed by my transition to Apex and wanted to maintain continuity with the marketing professional who understood their business objectives. The financial impact was immediate and devastating. Meridian lost over $800,000 in annual recurring revenue within a single week, representing nearly 15% of their total client portfolio. Industry contacts began reaching out to Patricia Williams at Apex, asking whether our company was accepting new clients from businesses seeking alternatives to Meridian's increasingly unpredictable service quality. Richard's attempts to prevent further client defections were hampered by his inability to offer credible assurances about marketing competency. Emma's inexperience was becoming more apparent with each client interaction, and potential customers were specifically asking about the qualifications and experience level of marketing professionals who would be managing their accounts. The situation deteriorated further when Michael Torres officially submitted his resignation and accepted a senior sales director position with Northwest Business Solutions. His departure eliminated another layer of institutional knowledge and client relationship management that had supported Meridian's revenue generation for over 6 years. Amanda Foster announced her resignation the following Monday, having accepted a client relations management position with a competing firm that offered both higher compensation and greater opportunities for professional advancement. Her departure meant that Emma would be responsible for managing client relationships without support from experienced colleagues who understood customer preferences and communication styles. Brian Kumar's resignation came next, driven by frustration with management decisions that prioritized family connections over technical expertise. His new position with a cybersecurity firm offered significantly better compensation and the opportunity to work with cutting-edge technology rather than constantly repairing systems damaged by unqualified administrators. By the end of my second week at Apex, Meridian had lost 4 experienced employees and 6 major clients, with additional departures and cancellations appearing inevitable. Richard was scrambling to hire replacement staff while dealing with operational crises that required expertise his remaining team didn't possess. The industry buzz about Meridian's internal dysfunction was becoming a serious threat to their professional reputation. Potential clients were asking specific questions about staff turnover and service continuity, while existing customers were expressing concerns about whether Meridian could maintain quality standards during their transition period. Most damaging for Richard's long-term credibility was the growing recognition among board members and investors that Emma's promotion had been the catalyst for this cascade of professional talent loss and client dissatisfaction. The decision to prioritize family advancement over merit-based leadership had created exactly the kind of operational instability that destroys successful businesses. Patricia Williams mentioned during one of our strategy meetings that Apex was receiving inquiries from additional Meridian clients who were monitoring the situation and considering whether to explore alternative service providers. The marketing industry in the Pacific Northwest was relatively small, and news about talent movements and client satisfaction levels traveled quickly through professional networks. Richard's company was hemorrhaging the expertise, relationships, and reputation that had taken years to build, and Emma's learning curve wasn't steep enough to compensate for the institutional knowledge that had walked out the door. The foundation supporting Meridian's marketing success was crumbling faster than Richard could rebuild it. His phone call to me was coming soon, and his voice would be shaking when he finally realized what he had lost. The call came on a rainy Thursday afternoon, exactly 3 weeks after I had walked out of Meridian for the last time. I was reviewing campaign analytics for Apex's newest client acquisition when my phone buzzed with Richard's name appearing on the screen. I had been expecting this conversation, but the timing still sent a small jolt of adrenaline through my system. "Joe, thank you for taking my call. I hope you have a few minutes to talk." Richard's voice carried a tremor I had never heard before, like someone trying to maintain composure while everything fell apart around them. "Of course, Richard. What can I do for you?" The pause that followed stretched long enough for me to imagine Richard gathering courage he wasn't sure he possessed. When he finally spoke, his words came in a rush, like he was afraid he might lose nerve if he slowed down. "Joe, I need to be completely honest with you. The past 3 weeks have been the most difficult period in Meridian's history, and I'm realizing that I made a terrible mistake. Emma is struggling with responsibilities, she isn't ready for our client relationships are suffering, and we've lost institutional knowledge that I didn't fully appreciate until it was gone." I listened without responding, allowing Richard to continue working through the confession he clearly needed to make. "I've been thinking about your contributions to this company for 9 years, and I understand now that I didn't recognize or reward your value appropriately. You built the foundation of our marketing success, and I took that for granted while focusing on opportunities for Emma that she wasn't qualified to handle." The admission was more honest than I had expected from Richard, though it came far too late to repair the damage he had caused through years of prioritizing family advancement over professional merit. "I'm calling to ask if you would consider returning to Meridian as our marketing director, with Emma transitioning to a role that better matches her experience level. We're prepared to offer you a 50% salary increase, equity options in the company, and complete autonomy over marketing strategy and department management." Richard's offer was desperate and substantial, representing the kind of recognition and compensation I had been seeking for years. Under different circumstances, the proposal might have been appealing enough to warrant serious consideration. "Richard, I appreciate you calling, and I'm grateful for your honesty about the situation at Meridian. However, I'm very happy in my new position at Apex. I have the autonomy, resources, and professional respect that I was looking for, and I'm excited about the opportunities we're building here." Another long pause followed while Richard processed the reality that his offer wouldn't be sufficient to repair what his poor judgment had broken. "Joe, I have to tell you that Meridian may not survive this transition period. We've lost too much expertise and too many client relationships to continue operating at previous levels. I'm facing the possibility that my decisions have destroyed what my father spent 30 years building." The weight of Richard's confession was heavy with the recognition that nepotistic management decisions have consequences that extend far beyond individual careers. His choice to prioritize Emma's advancement over company stability had created a cascade of professional and financial disasters that threatened everyone's employment. "I'm sorry to hear about the challenges Meridian is facing," I replied honestly. "I genuinely hope you can find solutions that work for everyone involved, including Emma." "Can I ask you one more question, Joe? What should I have done differently?" How could I have supported Emma's career development without damaging the company or overlooking your contributions? The question suggested that Richard was finally beginning to understand the fundamental problems with his approach, though the lesson was coming at tremendous personal and professional cost. Richard, the issue wasn't supporting Emma's career development. The problem was promoting someone to a position they weren't qualified for while taking credit for achievements that belonged to other people. Emma could have learned marketing skills through training programs, mentorship roles, or junior positions that matched her experience level. Instead, you tried to fast-track her advancement at the expense of people who had earned recognition through years of dedicated work. You're absolutely right, and I wish I had understood that sooner. Emma has actually expressed interest in transitioning to event planning and corporate communications, which seem more aligned with her natural interests and abilities. The revelation that Emma herself recognized the mismatch between her skills and the marketing director role suggested that Richard's family-first strategy had been problematic for everyone involved, including the daughter he was trying to help. 6 months later, I was thriving at Apex Marketing Group in ways that exceeded even my most optimistic expectations when I accepted Patricia Williams's offer. My marketing director position had evolved into a senior leadership role with responsibility for strategic planning across multiple client portfolios and oversight of a 12-person department that I had personally recruited and developed. The professional recognition I had been seeking for years was finally materializing through industry awards conference speaking opportunities and recognition as one of the Pacific Northwest's most innovative marketing professionals under 40. My strategies for customer retention and digital engagement were being studied and replicated by competitors throughout the region. Most importantly, I was mentoring 3 junior marketing associates who reminded me of my younger self, ambitious, eager to learn, and hungry for opportunities to prove their capabilities. I made sure they received credit for their contributions, advanced them based on merit rather than personal relationships, and provided the kind of professional support I had hoped to receive during my early career. Cascade Manufacturing had become Apex's largest client after transferring their account from Meridian, and our collaboration had resulted in a marketing campaign that increased their customer inquiries by 80% while expanding their service territory into 3 additional states. David Chen frequently mentioned that working with experienced marketing professionals had transformed their approach to customer relationship management. Pacific Northwest Logistics had similarly flourished under Apex's strategic guidance, launching a successful rebranding initiative that positioned them as the premier transportation solution for environmentally conscious businesses. Their revenue had increased by 35% in 6 months, and they were expanding their fleet to accommodate growing demand. The Meridian situation had stabilized somewhat after Richard made difficult but necessary changes to company leadership and operations. Emma had transitioned to corporate communications and event planning roles that leveraged her genuine enthusiasm and creativity without requiring technical marketing expertise she didn't possess. According to industry contacts, she was performing well in responsibilities that matched her actual interests and abilities. Richard had hired an experienced marketing director from outside the company, someone with 15 years of industry experience who could rebuild client relationships and operational systems that had been damaged during the transition period. However, Meridian's reputation and client base had been permanently affected by the period of instability, and they were operating as a smaller, more regional company than before. The broader lesson about valuing employees based on merit rather than personal relationships had apparently resonated throughout Meridian's organizational culture. Richard had implemented new policies for advancement and recognition that emphasized professional qualifications and measurable contributions rather than family connections or subjective preferences. During a recent industry networking event, I encountered Richard for the first time since leaving Meridian. Our conversation was cordial and professional, marked by mutual respect for the lessons we had both learned through our difficult experience. Joe, I want you to know that watching your success at Apex has been a reminder of what real leadership looks like, Richard said. I'm genuinely proud of what you've accomplished, and I'm grateful that my mistakes didn't prevent you from finding the recognition you deserve. Thank you, Richard. I hope things continue improving at Meridian. Change is difficult, but sometimes it leads to better outcomes for everyone involved. The experience had taught me that professional worth isn't determined by family connections, personal loyalty, or willingness to accept inadequate recognition. True value comes from developing expertise, building relationships, and consistently delivering results that benefit both clients and colleagues. More importantly, I learned that demanding appropriate recognition for professional contributions isn't selfish or disloyal. It's an essential part of building a career that provides personal satisfaction and creates value for organizations that understand the importance of merit-based advancement. My story demonstrates that sometimes losing everything teaches us to demand what we deserve. When loyalty isn't reciprocated and contributions aren't recognized, the best response might be to find organizations that value expertise over family connections and reward dedication with genuine opportunities for growth. The most satisfying aspect of my current position isn't the salary increase or professional recognition, though both are wonderful. The real reward is working in an environment where hard work leads to advancement, where strategic thinking is appreciated, and where mentoring junior colleagues creates opportunities rather than threats. Richard's phone call with his shaking voice was the moment he finally understood what he had lost. But by then, I had already found where I belonged, and his recognition came too late to change the trajectory I had chosen for my career. Professional growth requires environments that nurture talent rather than suppress it in favor of family advancement or personal relationships. Sometimes the best career decision is recognizing when it's time to stop waiting for recognition and start building success somewhere that values what you bring to the table. After 9 years of carrying someone else's vision for my professional future, I was finally building my own path forward, and it felt absolutely liberating. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where your hard work went unrecognized while others received credit for your contributions? How did you handle workplace dynamics where advancement seemed based on personal connections rather than professional merit? I'd love to hear about your experiences with standing up for your professional worth in the comments below. If this story resonated with your own career journey, please like this video to let me know it was helpful. Subscribe for more stories about workplace challenges, professional growth, and finding the recognition you deserve. Share this video with anyone who might be facing similar decisions about loyalty recognition and career advancement. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it encourages you to value your own professional contributions and seek environments where your expertise is genuinely appreciated. Remember, your career growth shouldn't depend on hoping others will eventually recognize your worth. Sometimes the most powerful decision is recognizing it yourself and acting accordingly.